What's up, YouTube world? You're here with Chris, and I'm here to bring you 5 things that you can do right now to dramatically change your life. Now, when I first started making this video, I was like, well, how would I separate it from all the other feel good or not feel good, but basically self-help material that's out there right now? Well, look, there's nothing new underneath the sun, which means that anything I tell you today, you probably already know to do. So I don't know if you're looking for some new and profound knowledge, but when you look at most videos, they're telling you the same type of information. They're just telling you in a different way. So my way to tell you is that 1, I'm going to give you what I did. And then 2, I'm going to give you an example of how it helped me change my life. So without further ado, actually, before we get started, make sure you be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow together, and definitely helps me bring more books, buy more books for more book reviews and different things of that nature. So number 1, and you know I'm gonna say this, it's read. No, definitely, it's read. Reading has changed my life for the better. I started reading adamantly in 2010. So I was about 22, 23. Before then, I wasn't really an avid reader. I read in school because I had to. But when I went to Iraq, I lived in a very small, what they called a CHU, a central housing unit. And there wasn't a lot to do in Iraq when you weren't working. So either you were working out, talking to your family, or you were reading or socializing. A lot of people chose to socialize. Because I'm naturally an introvert, I chose to read. And I just didn't read a whole lot of fiction. Not saying that there's anything wrong with fiction. It's hard for me to read fiction, but I didn't read a whole lot of fiction. What I did read was a whole lot of history. I read a lot of autobiographies. I read a lot of things like, I read Assata Shakur's autobiography in Iraq. It was really good. I've read Malcolm X in Iraq. I've read Back Against the Wall. And that's about, it's about a brother who was in the Black Panthers. And it really started opening up my mind to the history of what my ancestors had to do for me to be where I'm at today. And really, once you learn about history and once you dive deep into history, it's hard to do the same things. It's hard to live the same way. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything of that nature, but I made a dedicated choice to change my life and become a different person because of the things that I've read. I've made a dedicated choice to save money and always have something in the bank because of the things that I read. Another genre of books would be financial books, of course. Get your hands on Think and Grow Rich, because even though that's kind of a financial book, it's more of a mind state type of book. Get your hands on the Dave Ramsey book. The Dave Ramsey book is awesome. And I mean, I say the Dave Ramsey book, but all of the Dave Ramsey books. If you're starting out and you don't really have a good credit score, or you're like, hey, I'm a young dude, I'm just getting into college, I really want to set up my finances, I really want to get right, read Dave Ramsey first. Now, I'm not saying that you have to take Dave Ramsey and what he does throughout your entire life. It might not work for you, but he is exposing some sound principles there that I think that if you followed them throughout your entire life, you would not be worse off. Okay, the second thing that I think is very important is to plan your night before. Having a loose plan. Now, before I jump into this, some people might argue like, I don't want to plan my night before because it seems too regimented. I might want to wake up and do something else, or I might just not feel like it and not want to feel bad that I didn't follow through on a plan that I had. And I understand you, because those are all excuses that I've used myself, right? But planning your day the night before is really good. It helps you. It's like planning your day the night before is like using windshield wipers on your windshield when there's a light drizzle. When there's a light drizzle and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to use my windshield wipers or not, you keep on, and then next thing you know, you can't see, right? That's kind of like how not planning your life is. And writing down your goals the night before really just helps to focus you. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be a whole lot of goals. It could just be like 3 things that you need to do, or 1 thing that you need to do. I've read books on how to do both, but just write down 1 thing. What's the most important thing you can do tomorrow? And put that at the top of your list and tackle that the first thing in the morning whenever you're able, of course. Planning and that just brings me back to planning in general. You should be writing down your plans. And I know you probably heard this before. I know I'm not the first person to tell you this, but write down your plans, write down your goals, write down your vision. And separate it into long term, medium term, and short term. The biggest thing is not that you didn't miss a goal or you write down a goal and you're afraid of not achieving it. The biggest thing is not having a goal to measure yourself against. So writing down your goal, number one goal at least, the night before is a big thing that I've done. I do it every night before I have to start my day, something that I want to get done, unless there's days where you're like, okay, this is a freestyle day where I don't want to write down my goals. Number three, and this is going to sound kind of selfish, but it took me a while to understand this term. It took me a while to understand what I'm about to tell you. And that is, one, put yourself first. So I had my first child when I was 21 years old. I was rather young, and I've been an active father since then, consistently, continuously. And I think, one, as being a dad, and two, being in a long-term relationship, and multiple, like I think now I'm too deep into long-term relationships, you tend to lose who you are. You tend to lose who you are as an individual. That young cat that before they've had kids, you know what I mean? What were you about? And of course, you're not the same person. That's not what I'm saying. But it's easy to lose who you are. And so what I'm saying is that if you do not take care of yourself, if you are not eating right, sleeping right, living right, taking care of your body, taking care of your mental health is extremely important. If you're not doing these things, you cannot put your family first. Right? So if you do not take care of you first, you cannot put your family first. So even though you might say, oh, no, family first, God too. But I'm saying in the physical realm, to put yourself first. And I mean, take care of yourself, take care of your time, right? You can invest your time in your family. You can invest your time in your job. And there's no such thing as balance. I don't know what that is. There's no such thing to me as like a work-life balance. Either you're doing one and you're not doing the others, or you're doing the others and you're not doing one. So you're actually, real life, you're juggling. You're juggling in between your home life, you're juggling in between your work life, you're juggling in between your financials, and hopefully you have some hobbies. For me, I didn't have a lot of hobbies. I was just into my family a lot, doing things with them. And I realized that I was beginning to lose myself a little bit, beginning to lose some of the things that I love to do. And I started defining myself simply as a father, simply as, a husband, simply as these things, right? So that's number three, put yourself first. Self-care is important. Now, I'm not using that as an excuse for you to be selfish, right? You can still take care of your family. You can still take care, if your mom's is sick, take care of your moms, take care of your responsibilities, but make sure that you're in a space to do it, and make sure you're in that mental frame to take care of your responsibilities. All right. Number four, listen more than you speak. And this one might be hard to do for some, for people who love to talk, love to dominate a conversation. I want to give you the advice to listen more than you speak. Every time I speak to somebody, I pretend like there is a light shining on whoever's talking, right? Whoever's talking gets the light. And I want that light to stay on them more than it's on me. And that doesn't mean I don't talk or don't keep the conversation going or don't use the light when it's my turn to use it. I disclose things about myself as well, but I'm always listening. I'm always listening to what somebody is saying, how they're saying it. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at what they're saying in connection with their body language. By the way, you should read books on body language. It's very important for you to understand what people's bodies is saying. Speaking of that, here's a plug for a book, What Everybody Is Saying. I forgot who the author of that book is, but definitely check that out, What Everybody Is Saying. And so you can make sure that people's actions or people's body language are matching with what they're saying, because sometimes people talk and their body language does not match what they're saying. So listen more than you speak. Listen to what's going on around you. Listen to, if you're in a relationship, if you are trying to get in a relationship, or really you're trying to figure somebody out, just listen to them. And a lot of times the greatest listeners, they say they're the best conversationalists, because sometimes I listen more than I speak, and people leave the conversation feeling like I was the greatest conversationalist ever, but really I was just listening to this person. I was sympathizing, empathizing with them, and I was nodding and giving them that response and validation within a conversation. So listen more than you speak. It'll take you a long way. All right, and I kind of alluded to this. This is number 5, and please be doing this. I had to decide before I said this, because this has been said all over. If you are not writing down your goals, actually, number 5, write down your goals. Okay, so make sure you are writing down your goals somewhere. Make sure you have some high level goals somewhere. Sit down for a minute. Think about where you want to be in 10 years. Think about where you want to be at the end of your lifespan and write down some goals to get those goals, and then come up with a plan to get there, right? If you don't have a plan, you're never going to be able to benchmark yourself against whether you made it to that plan, whether you fell short, whether you exceeded that plan, right? You're kind of like a boat without a rudder in the ocean, right? The current is going to push you wherever it wants to push you. And something that I realized is that the people without plans work for the people with plans. The people without goals always roll up and into working for people with goals. That's how it works. That's how the society works. Look at Jeff Bezos, right? He's had goals, and now he has 600,000 employees. I can give you a lot of these people who've had goals and plans, and I can just give you regular people who have goals and plans, right? But just think about this. Make sure your goals are written down on a piece of paper or even in your computer. You could do that in your computer and revisit them. Pick a time to revisit them. Put a calendar notification in your phone at least once a month. I mean, really once a week would be really great. Every Sunday, come and revisit those goals. But at least once a month, go ahead and revisit your goals to make sure that, hey, I'm on track. Hey, these goals aren't working for me anymore. Or even, why did I have this goal in the first place? Without beating a dead horse, these are 5 things you can do instantly that will change your life dramatically. I hope I didn't keep you too long. If you made it to this far, make sure you definitely drop a like, definitely drop a comment, and maybe drop some tips in there for anybody who might be looking at the video. Peace.